Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special episode of the Authentic Soap podcast. And I did say that I would get some interviews started this week. I'm doing one, no better place to start than with my own mother, Marian McCurdie. So we're just doing it. It's very kind of primitive technology we're using, having a few sort of technical hitches there at the start, but I kind of think it doesn't really matter. You're only really interested in hearing the viewer. So we'll work on some of those things going forward. But first of all, Marian, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Patrick. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I think then what we want to talk about then is probably the most dominant news story that's happening at the moment, which is obviously the coronavirus and the lockdown situation. It's probably a difficult situation for many people. How are you finding it yourself, Marian?
Well, I've just been trying to keep occupied. I've been setting myself little tasks to do every day. For instance, I'll do something and then I'll have a cup of tea, and then I might do something else. I'll have a cup of tea, and then once I have finished with the work, I start on my crocheting. I've crocheted quite a bit since the coronavirus started and we went into lockdown. It's a nice feeling to be able to produce something where you're under lock and key, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least I can do something productive with my time.
Definitely.
You know, it passes the time really, and you've got something to do.
So you mentioned tea. How many cups of tea do you reckon you're drinking every day?
I don't know. Well, it's all decaf. Went on to decaf last year, so I haven't changed. So I reckon I'm drinking like 8 or 9 or 10 cups of tea a day.
Yeah.
Because I always like 2 cups in the morning. I always have 2 cups in the evening, and then whatever I have throughout the day. So I have to only leave 6 throughout the day. Yeah, about 8, 9 or 10, depending on what I'm doing or anything like that.
And how do you find since you've went to decaf tea? So probably there's people out there who maybe drink a lot of caffeine and wouldn't consider going on to decaf. So how do you feel since you've reduced your caffeine consumption quite considerably then since drinking decaf tea?
I haven't really noticed much difference. Decaf tea to me now is normal tea, and I haven't noticed any difference in anything at all by drinking decaf. But I thought it would be better for my system to drink decaf. Because to say much caffeine's bad for you. So I thought, well, this is one way of cutting out a bit of caffeine. I haven't succeeded cutting out the sugar, but I've cut out the caffeine.
Well, definitely. It's just as well, Mariam, given you're drinking maybe up to 10 cups a day. But, you know, it's probably quite good for you not to have so much caffeine in the system because it is a stimulant and can make you jittery and stuff and things like that. So that's probably quite good. So you mentioned crochet, and we'll come on to that shortly. But really I want to ask, is there any other activities that you've been doing to keep yourself occupied apart from the crocheting?
Well, I have been reading. Now, I'm just reading the news, but I'm reading it through my laptop. And then I've also been using my Kindle quite a bit. So I've passed the time that way. So it's been, you know, I haven't had much bother putting in time, really.
I know what you mean.
So what enough things to do during the day. I'm not saying completely happy all the time or anything like that, but it does get to you like everybody else, you know, when you look out and you think, when will I ever be able to go outside in safety again? But I have put my faith in the science, very how to get a vaccination or else a treatment. So I have to stay at home, and I recognise this is the only thing I can really do during this pandemic is stay in the house and practice social distancing.
That's it too.
Yeah, you know, I have to do my bit. I can't expect the NHS and everybody else to do their bit if I don't do my bit is just staying in the house, staying away 2 meters away from people when I'm out, which I'm not out very much, I have to say.
Well, it sounds like you're being very compliant with the sort of lockdown and regulations, which is good. Obviously, it takes everyone to kind of follow it to make it work. But just on books then, so how do you find having a Kindle as opposed to buying hard copies of books? Do you find that much more convenient?
I love my Kindle. My daughter bought it for me for Christmas 2 years ago. It was the best present I've had for quite a while. It enables me just to download books, any books that I fancy. I can download them. Remember, I've Amazon Unlimited, so I can read can read quite a lot of the books for free. Cost me $7 a month, but it's worth it because I read something, I can download it and I can be sitting reading it 2 minutes later, which is really convenient for anybody.
So you don't have a kind of...
Don't like them on hardback books and all, but that's all right. But I went past, I'm just Kindle now most of the time. I find it even hard to read a book unless it's on the Kindle. Plus, you can enlarge the print on your Kindle, so I'm not having to worry. I just enlarge my print. My eyesight's starting to play up.
So you don't have any emotional attachment to books themselves, like the actual physical books?
Absolutely none. I never thought it'd come this way. I thought I wouldn't be able to read a Kindle, but no, I don't miss books at all. The hardback copy, the physical book, I don't miss it. No, I have to say.
You've embraced the digitalization then very well, Marian. Have you any books you want to recommend to the listeners or the watchers?
Well, I'm a big fan of Jodi Picoult. So if anybody wants, I'd recommend her books to anybody. And then I do like the odd murder story. Basically, I just read anything at all. If it takes my fancy, I'll read it. I'm not into following. The only author I really follow is her. For the rest of them, I can just do it. I just see a book and think, that might be good. And then I download it. And that's just the way I read.
So what about Jodi Picoult? Can you give a bit more information about her and her style of writing, or what her kind of main genre is?
It's just different ones, a lot of different sort of books, I really enjoyed the fact and small little things, books like that there, she's not going to appeal to everybody. She will appeal to some people.
So it's interesting too. You mentioned if you see a book and you kind of fancy it, you just go for it. So that's just like a gut instinct that you think you might enjoy this book and you just go with it.
That's how I do most of my book reading, by instinct. I'll look at it and then I'll see it online and maybe read a wee bit about it. You can download a bit of information about it. I'll read the information, and if I think it's going to suit me, that's great. I'll just download it. And then with the Kindle, you can take the Kindle to bed. There's a good backlight on that Kindle and you can read it at night. If you can't. It's good for insomnia.
So you've no concerns about the light at nighttime in bed affecting your sleep?
Yeah, I do have some concerns, but the way it's better sometimes than lying awake. They say you shouldn't have blue light and all the rest of it before you go to bed. And some nights don't bother, but some nights I do bother.
Well, that's good. I think it's good too. I think, like, for me, I sometimes just go on instinct if I like a book, and then sometimes books, they tend to fall into place one after you read one book and something else draws your attention. So it's like a trail leading you to the books that kind of write for you. So that's really good. Let's just come on to the crocheting. So this is what your primary source of distraction and occupation is then, Marian, during during lockdown. Just tell us a little bit more. What actually is crocheting?
Well, it's actually like a form of knitting nearly, but it's not knitting. It's done with one crochet. It's done with one hook. Like I'm going to show you the hook.
This is bring it maybe a wee bit towards your own face, Marian, just so we get a bit of better focus. So yeah, as you can tell, it's different. It looks a lot different than a knitting needle. It's kind of just like sort of slim and long. This looks like some sort of dental contraption or something there, doesn't it? You know?
Does it suit me?
It does. Like, it looks like you could be working in a dental practice there. You know. So what? How do you actually? What's the technique for doing crocheting, and what kind of skills and attributes would you need?
Well, for crocheting, it's pretty simple, I would say. Once you learn the stitches, it's just the actual act of learning how to crochet that some people might find hard. I enrolled in a crochet class, which is now stopped because of COVID-19, but that's where I was taught the stitches. And then I went onto YouTube and I looked up how people did things, and I've just progressed from there. And at the moment now, this lockdown started, I've crocheted at least 6 blankets. I'm in the process of a throw, which I'm doing for my sister. King size bed, which, but anyway, it's hopefully at the end of this year, I'll have improved my crochet skills. I know I have improved them, and I've produced quite a bit of work that's going to be useful to people. And give some of the crochet blankets to my daughters, new babies, and one for my mother for a throw for her settee, and doing it to my sister. And I've all taken up quilting. I'm in the process now of doing a quilt for one of my grandchildren.
Okay. So is the quilt, is that still crocheting then? You're doing a quilts with the crochet method, or is it different?
It's different. It's different. What is the crochet at the moment is what I'm working on, but I have started to work on a quilt as well.
Okay.
And some material in the house that I had bought that I hadn't used, and I thought, well, I'll have a go at this quilting and see how well I get on at it. So far, so good. I've only done a little bit, but I think I'm going to go into it in more depth and try and read and find out about it and watch YouTube videos and join groups on Facebook, things like that there, things to improve my knowledge.
So what tools do you need to do for quilting that, you know, it's obviously a crochet and you've got the crochet hook. The quilting is a different kind of tools then to make the quilt?
Yeah, well, I got a sewing machine. Well, I got money from Mother's Day and I bought a sewing machine. So I've been using the sewing machine. But I know in past times people have hand sewn quilts. And you've seen people sharing their work on various platforms where they've hand sewed. Which is too. Because I think it was years and years ago, people used to get together to make quilts and all. In America or somewhere like that there. I don't think in Ireland, but it seems to be pretty popular at the minute. So I think I'll give it a go and see how well I get on.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned about people coming together to make hand-sewn quilts, and it's one of those activities that's, you know, very personal and creative, and it's obviously something that just makes you present and mindful. So I think it's just an activity there that you know, is a real antidote to kind of the consumerism of life in a way. So it's interesting then, Marian, you're making a lot of these crocheted materials and giving them to family. So it's a kind of, is that something sort of nice for you to do, to show that kindness and make these blankets and, you know, different items with crocheting and give them to people you know?
Well, because of this 19, I'm not able to see any of my children. I'm not able to see my grandchildren. I'm not able to see my mother, my brother, my sisters. So I've just been making things for them. And of course, we've been on social media, but to be physically able to see them or lift my grandchildren up or hug them or anything, no. So I just keep doing things, for each one, trying to do something for everybody, just so there's that thread, that emotional attachment is coming through my crocheting, trying to show them what I think of them.
Yeah,
So, it's a way of being in contact with people.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of like a lot of that Buddhist meditation is based on love and kindness, where if you meditate on that, it makes you feel less lonely, because you feel more connected. So maybe doing that activity is making you feel kind of more connected. How you find it personally? Do you find like you just get into the zone and like your mind clears and you just feel really present when you're doing crocheting?
Yes, I do. Maybe more so at the start because I wasn't sure of what I was doing. But now it's a sort of like a second nature. So I'm finding that with the quilting, I'm getting more in the zone because I'm not used to doing it, and I'm having to think how to do it. Whereas with the crochet now, I can just motor up, really do plenty of it. Like, it doesn't really require me to think about other things, unless I make a mistake or something like that there, and then I have to go back over it again, and then I'll say to myself, why did you do that? But anyway, I did it, so why
Yeah,
not
you
concentrate
don't want
on
to be too critical of yourself. I think obviously you talk about you doing it now, it's almost like automatic. So it's almost like your unconscious mind just does it because you've got, so good at it. But do you find then, is it kind of clear in your head? So when you are thinking that maybe you're able to think, more sort of clearly, when you're doing the activity, like, does it help you in that sense?
yeah.
If you're thinking about things.
You think about other things too, during it. You think about, you can allow thoughts to crowd your mind, really, but I sort of try to keep them on at bay.
Yeah.
When I'm crocheting, think about it, but I'll also think about what am I going to have for my dinner, or I have such and such a thing to do. I better go and do it. Your mind never really fully empties anyway.
But it sounds like it's like more constructive thoughts, like, you think about what you're going to have for dinner and things, practical thoughts rather than kind of being filled with just any sort of random thoughts that keep popping in. So maybe it's giving you that kind of presence, so your mind is, operating on a more kind of rational basis, if you like. What's your kind of what kind of colors then do you like to use when you do the crochet?
I really like bright colors. I like oranges. I like green, yellows, and pinks. I'm a bright color person. I don't really like anything with really dark colors, to be quite honest. Sometimes I like mustard and things like that there, but when I'm doing blankets and things like that there, I prefer to do them in a brighter color. They're more joyful looking whenever they're bright.
No, definitely, mine. I mean, I guess, darker colors are a bit more morose looking, isn't it? So I think I've seen some of your colors. I think you like your sort of bright oranges and bright turquoises and stuff. Is that the kind of uplifting colors you like to use?
Yes, I like to use I like lime greens, deep purples, just those sort of striking colours. I'm not really into mucky greys or, be real dark, splodgy brown.
What colors to you? Those vibrant oranges and turquoise. What do the colors actually mean to you? Do they have any representation?
Really, they're just my favourite colours. And and I inflict them on people whether they like them or not. Because I like them, I use, and because I'm giving all this stuff out for presents, nobody's really going to call me and say, I don't really like that colour.
That's a good way of looking at it. Like, you know what I mean? Because you went all that effort, it would be a wee bit ungrateful for someone to turn around and say they don't like those colours. But I'm sure everybody loves the colours that you use, Marian, and obviously all the various items that you make. So we're going to come up near towards the end. And just what would you say to anybody out there who wants to take up crocheting, particularly maybe like younger people, or even like men even who maybe might necessarily thinking of taking up some like a sort of craft style activity like crochet? What would you say to anybody who's thinking about possibly taking it up?
I would say just go for it and go and do it. It's easy once you get the hang of it. You'll end up producing something that's going to be useful to somebody. Plus, it keeps you occupied. It keeps your mind active. And you've a sense of achievement when you've actually finished something. You've actually done something with your own hands. And you can give it to somebody and they're going to use it. So I would just say, just go for it. Do it. Just get your hook, get your wool, and get onto YouTube, and away you go.
Yeah, and it sounds just from what you've said, then that creative, being able to give something useful to someone, they're all kind of like virtuous qualities, and qualities are lined. It's like walking in nature. That sort of feeling you get when you've created something, from scratch, and you've given it to someone. That sort of kindness. So that's the kind of activities I think people should be doing more often anyway. So we'll just finish off then. Where can people? What's the best way to go about actually getting the equipment to start? What's the startup? What do you need? You need a crochet hook. What else do you need to buy?
A ball of wool and a crochet hook, and that's it.
Okay, so that sounds simple.
There's more different sizes of crochet hooks, but when you're starting off, just buy any crochet hook. Just buy cheap wool. There's 3 for £2 in Poundland. And it's £1, I think, and bargains for one big ball. So it's not hard. Even go on eBay, get wool. Like Amazon have wool. And I was actually teaching my 6-year-old grandson to crochet, but we had to stop. Coronavirus. He's very keen to learn how to crochet.
Well, there you go. Like it's all ages are doing it, And as you say, you did mention, Marian, into the YouTube videos. I think YouTube has tutorials for absolutely everything. It's great.
Tutorials for you need to know about crocheting or quilting or anything. It's a good resource for anybody wanting to learn anything, really.
No, absolutely.
But lately, I've learned loads of stuff on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that I was alive during the internet era, because it wasn't like this whenever I was at school. You were wading through books looking for information. Now children are just able to go on the internet, look it up, and there you are, instant answer.
Oh, no, definitely. We live in the era of knowledge and instant information, which is, terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. But that's an interesting point you made about, you span those generations coming from very little digitalization now to almost full digitalization. So that's maybe another episode that we could do another time, Marian. And perhaps then next time we catch up for another podcast video, you could maybe show us some of the examples of some of the work you've done. But thanks for coming on the show, Marian.
No bother. Thank you for having me.
No problem. As I say, it's a lot of food for thought there, and hopefully you're going to make your son one as well. I'm hoping.
Yes, I am. I've ordered your wool now, and it just came. So you're getting a big crooked star, and you can feature it in all your podcasts.
There you go. No, definitely. Once I get a proper setup, that'll take flight of place. Okay, well, thanks anyway, Marian, and we will catch up again very, very shortly.
My colours too.
No problem. Speak soon. Bye now.